Fantastic. I'm joined for this quick fire panel session, quarter of an hour to break the record for Micro Business Matters Day, the most questions I can get in, with Rory Devlin, all the way from Ireland. And as well as his businesses, he runs the Micro Business Awards, which I had the pleasure of attending this year, Micro Business Owners Association. Emily Whitehead from Simply Great Britain was Simply Staffs, has been running her businesses for a long time as well alongside it. Great business communities that she's developed. And Dan Martin, who's probably our premier enterprise and entrepreneurship journalist in the UK, I would think, has been supporting Microbiz Matters for ages. His partner has a micro business. Dan's just gone self-employed, but he's been developing communities as well through his publications like Business Zone, which he edited, and then Enterprise Nation, and runs many local communities in Bristol. So I'm going to go with Rory first of all the way from Ireland. And my question to you, Rory, is why did you found the Micro Business Association and the Micro Business Awards in Ireland?
Because when you look around, Tony, you'll find there's plenty of support there for SMEs or for the small business association. But there was nobody with a focus and an interest in micro business. And one of our first big challenges was actually getting recognition that such a thing as a micro business exists, which we managed to do a couple of years ago through the Companies Office, where they now actually recognize an entity as a micro entity as opposed to a small business.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fantastic. I think I always feel really good every time when we started the Microbiz Matters movement, like 9 years ago or whatever. But every time a journalist mentions micro business owners, then we think, hey, we've done something good. So Emily, to you, what would you say is the most important thing for new businesses between 1 to 3 years, trying to survive those 3 years, about getting involved in a business community?
Totally essential. It's why I set up my own community, because when I was first in business for myself after leaving a corporate world, I just realized there was nobody. I had nobody to talk to. I suddenly had nobody to hang out with, check ideas out with, find out a little bit more information. I felt very alone. And I think it's absolutely essential, whether it's for your mental health, whether it's to get ideas and inspiration, or whether it's just to really share your life with people who are sharing that micro business journey with you, because they are really going to get it. And I think, as Rory's already said, there's a lot of conversation out there about small business, which is absolutely amazing. But quite often those micro businesses don't get recognized. They may well still be on the kitchen table. They may be in the shed at the bottom of the garden, and it can be quite isolating. So totally essential is to find a community that feels right for you.
Okay, great. And I think this goes with the theme that a lot of us feel, Dan, is about the fact that it's not a prescriptive exact process running a micro business, and opportunities come along or things you think of come along. I mean, you've seen over the years with the great numbers of people that you've had the opportunity of seeing through publications as well as the communities you champion. What would you say is the one thing that will help? This will be a record year of startups. Yeah. What the one thing that will help people actually find out what it is like to be starting and running their own micro business, so that they've got some idea? It's a really tough question, but I've got to ask you it.
It is a tough question. I suppose it's a cop-out, but it is probably getting involved in as many communities as possible, because like Emily said, the term small business, particularly by government, is used to cover everything from 1 to 250 staff, which, as we know, is very different. So I think is to be the best small businesses are the ones that are adaptable, willing to collaborate, are constantly looking for opportunities, are constantly looking for ideas. And you'll find that the communities of micro businesses, people are more than willing to share and tell you what it's like. So I try and get involved in as many of those as possible, and just talk to people and volunteer to help out. With social media, of course, it's so easy to follow the journey of so many different micro businesses, because they're live streaming it, they're transcribing it, they're tweeting it all the time. So I'd just say, but I would, this isn't an anti-community thing, but I wouldn't, don't get too involved. You do have to run your business. So find the communities that are right for you.
Yeah.
You can obviously, right now, you could be attending, events 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. But find the communities that work for you and the people that look like you. And if you get active and stay, you'll find that you'll get the benefits from those communities and find out what it's like.
No, fabulous. No, I think that's the important thing, is it's a continual thing of networking, isn't it? I mean, we're not precious about it, but we tell everybody, as well as Bootstrap, Dirt, Borrow, Test Trade First. Third one is ask a business owners, but it's really ask lots of business owners, isn't it? In lots of communities, if you like, but don't spend all your time doing it. Just Rory, going back to you, when I was struck by the Micro Business Awards about the fact that, like I find, all of the businesses that were winning awards were practical ones that people like Dan and journalists often don't talk about in the media. They're all like making things or turning hobbies into crafts or various, and we get lots of the focus on high-tech businesses. Is it the same in Ireland, where people actually forget the great range and uniqueness of micro businesses?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, when I see the nominations coming in each year for the Micro Business Awards, and I'm absolutely dumbfounded by some of the range of ideas. And I see things and I'm thinking, why have I never thought of doing something like that?
Yeah.
And it's absolutely brilliant. And again, I would love to be able to give an award to everyone that enters. Obviously, that's not feasible. It also would totally devalue what we do. But there is such a range out there. And if we could get a little bit more voice for these, and it would make such a difference to them. And again, through the work you do in the UK, through what we've been trying to do here in Ireland, we're slowly making those breakthroughs, but we're still a long, long way off where it needs to be.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely great. All right, I have a feeling that this uniqueness, which isn't talked about a great deal, and as I say, the range of there wasn't a copy amongst them, was there? Those award winners, every single business was unique. So, Emily, what do you think we need to do as, let's say, the UK or Ireland, to make sure that these record number of startups do get the benefit of knowing what like kind of a real genuine micro business is about? Do you know what I mean? Rather than a textbook, look for funding kind of thing. It's much more about doing what you love and are outstandingly good at, isn't it? That you'll create something unique. What can we do in our communities to make sure that these people in the early years of the business can stay kind of true to themselves and not be distracted by the media spin about what being an entrepreneur is?
Yeah, so there's several elements to that. First of all, I think it's really important to remember that micro business owners are building a life, not just a business. Yes. So I have almost never met a micro business whose sole aim is to be the next Richard Branson. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Ambition, growth, if that's what you want to go for, is fantastic. But almost none of them are. Most of them are about building a life that feels right for them, whether they're offering a business-to-business service, making something amazing, providing a lovely independent tourism business, whatever that is. And so when I talk to businesses about brand or about communication, it's vital that actually they talk in their own voice. They talk really openly, authentically, and honestly about what they give. And of course, don't forget, micro businesses give back all the time. They're at the heart of their own communities. So what we can do in Britain is really give voice to that, give recognition to the fact that without them, whether they're in a small workshop behind a house that you never knew was there, they are still essential to our communities because they are giving back. They are keeping money in the local economies. So I really feel that it's important that micro businesses feel good about what their story is. Their story is good enough. And because it doesn't follow a standardized entrepreneurial linear pathway, which almost never happens anyway,
Yeah.
it doesn't make it invalid or lesser. It's still as vital and as important to us all.
That's absolutely fantastic. And I think there's Rory and Emily. There is a book called The Happypreneur. I should just maybe mention
You
it,
could waive it.
which actually says that because it was a 2-year project to build on update Small is Beautiful, of course, and
Small is
all the
Beautiful.
things you've actually said about the uniqueness, about the fact that it's authentic, about it's just, it's more likely to be fair, and it's more likely to be giving back into the
Yeah.
community and making the community great. So absolutely fantastic. And you've interviewed Branson, haven't you, Dan? And in terms of, like, what can I say? The difference between, you do these marvelous case studies of businesses that they've read, and that does more than anything, I think, to bring to prominence the businesses we're talking about. But in terms of, what would you say the advantages of a micro business owner is? Because government tend to treat them as big companies boiled down, don't they? Whereas in actual fact, I think they should be treasured, recognised, like Emily and Rory have said. They're unique, they're fantastic. So what would you say is the kind of advantages you have now as yourself, if you like, as a micro business owner?
Well, I think if there can be one positive to come out of this crazy 12 months, and hopefully not as long as another 12 months, is the fact that there is the focus on the stories that Emily was talking about. Because micro business owners have such amazing stories. And in fact, I know I've written about them for years, but my colleagues in the media, maybe at the big broadsheets and the TV stations, I think are now more interested in micro businesses and those stories, because so many people have become micro businesses because of circumstances. They've lost income, so they've started a delivery company, or they started stores around the city, or whatever it is. So in fact, an advantage at this very moment is the fact that you are one. And I would say, in terms of like getting your word out there, is to tell your story authentically, like Emily said. And the media is the big media and the smaller media is craving these stories. I mean, if you look in the Sunday Times, most weekends now, there is lots more stories about micro businesses. People that started something during COVID and are now selling on a marketplace, or selling on Etsy, selling on Amazon. So I'd say the advantage is the fact you are one, and to tell your story. And I find when I interview micro businesses and I look at their website, and one thing I say is use your About Us page as much as possible to tell that story, because journalists will look at that, and if you go to an About Us page and it's just a sales message, you're just a bit like, maybe they don't have a great story behind it. But don't be afraid of telling the whole story about how it happened, because we are interested in that. So the thing about the awards, winning an award is brilliant, because it's recognition, and that will often get you a lead into a journalist. But the journalist will then want to know, why did you win that award? What happened before that? So I'd say the advantage is you will have a story that journalists are interested in. So tell that story as much as possible. Put it on your website. Be open. Be honest. Don't think that you don't have one, because you do. Every micro business has got a story, and that's what people want to hear. And just to finish in a minute, but customers are also more interested. Customers, when they buy that thing from an independent deli, they want to know who made it. So if you can have a picture of the owner on the box, or you go to the website, you've got your own company hashtag. More than ever, people want to support small, and they want to know the story. So I think the advantage is you've got a story, and tell it as much as you can.
I think that's fantastic, and that's what we're doing with your awards as well, isn't it? You're amplifying the stories of the individual.
Absolutely.
But they've got to take the opportunity. I know Emily and Dan's, because I've actually seen them. They've got brilliant About Us bits on their websites, and they both tell the story of how they actually came. Because people are buying the person. That is, I think, our major advantage, really. I mean, I had a business for many, many years whereby we hid behind the corporate name, my business partner and I. And then in the end, we decided to actually say, actually, it's Tony Robinson and Claire Francis who started this business in 1986, and business got a whole lot better after that kind of thing. So Rory, one question each to you now. What are you looking forward to most for micro business owners in 2021?
Well, the fact that our vice prime minister yesterday told us we could expect another 3 months of lockdown, I would be saying to people, this is an absolutely brilliant time for businesses to regroup, make a firm plan, and look at how you can develop going forward, as opposed to getting into a negative train of thought, oh, here we go, can't do X, Y, and Z. There's never been a better time to redevelop your own story and to tell it than there is right now.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Emily, what are you looking forward to for micro business owners?
Do you know, I really feel like 2021 is the year of the micro business, because not only because of the unprecedented number of startups that Dan has already mentioned, you've mentioned, but also finally we realized, I think, when we were in lockdown, we're in lockdown again now, we realized what we really value in life, and that is those amazing relationships that you have with the micro business owners that you might buy from. They're from all sectors. It means something. People are recognizing they've managed to stop long enough to realize how much they contribute to communities and how important it is to vote with your pound, vote with your love for the Britain that we want to see in the future, because it is a vote. Every pound, every like, every comment, every engagement is a vote for what we really want. And actually what we really want is connection. We want human connection. After all, that's why social media is so popular. And we're all craving that. And of course, it's better for the planet in general. It's better for people and for places as well. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Okay, great. And Dan, you?
Well, you've both taken all the great things that I would say as well. I agree with both of you on that. And I think as well, you're right. I think it's this renewed interest in us guys, us micros. And although we might, there's lots and lots of reasons to criticize government with, excluded and everything else. But I do think, and then from the conversations I've had, behind the scenes with ministers, I do think it has increased awareness of the importance of micro businesses and how many of us there are. I think the one thing that the Excluded campaign has showed is how many small and micro businesses there are. And, there was a story out last night that potentially the government is going to introduce the company director scheme, fingers crossed for that one. But I think it has shown the power, the collaboration, the positivity of the amount of small businesses that there are, and that's growing. And I think because of that, 2021 will be, there will be even more focus. And I hope it has made the authorities think it isn't one size fits all. And we do need to think micro when we're building all these policies and things about making Britain a better place for all sizes of businesses.
Fabulous, absolutely great. I've got to move on, and it's been absolutely fantastic having you with us. So thank you very much. It was quick, but it was brilliant, your contributions. And I think the one thing I would say is the fact that we can be optimistic because we have proved that we can all work together in communities and help each other. We're not competing against each other, really. We're all able to actually do that. And I think you've summed it up superbly. So thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you.
And now we go to, and you'll be able to watch this, our treat is the Small Business Commissioner, Dan, Philip King, and Ian Cass, the Chief Executive of the Forum Private Business. I did a little session with them on positive cash flow tips. So thank you, Emily, Rory, Dan, and now the video. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.